Hey, welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. We've tried to have his brother on several times. We've messaged many times and no luck. So today we bring to you Craig Jones' brother, Adam Jones. Thanks for joining us, Adam.
No dramas. Thanks for having me. I'm the poor man's Jones. The poor man's Jones.
Do you get sick of this comparison or this sort of line of questioning all the time? Sorry to start off with that one straight away.
No. I mean, everybody assumes I'm good at leg locks, but I'm really not. So that kind of helps. But no, it's all good.
You are
He's done well for himself.
You're a very accomplished grappler in your own right, though. So you're a brown belt. You have a club there in Adelaide. Is that correct? That you're head coach of M16?
Yeah. So it's my friend's Jim Miles, and he's owned that gym. We're about to have our 5th birthday party since he sort of started opening that gym up just by itself. Before he was part of a team called Ringworks, which was pretty infamous in Adelaide for MMA before it was cool. Then he went out on his own. I was living in Melbourne when he sort of started that off. And then when I broke my leg, I came back and he took me in. I think he thought he was getting Craig, but he got stitched up with me. So, yeah.
But your best fuck Craig Jones t-shirt or
yeah. Me and my dad both had them. We used to rock them at the gym all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh God, I would love to have a famous brother with a t-shirt like that. That would be fucking awesome.
It sounds good in theory, but he never sends me shit for free. So I've got to buy my own gear. Gave me a discount code. Give me one of your ashes, mate.
I guess you'll just have to get revenge by becoming a better grappler than him, man, and then sorting it out on the mats. That would be the way.
Oh, yeah, maybe in a dream one day.
How does this work, right? How does a family create 2 really good grappling brothers? What's the childhood like of, creating machines like you guys?
Man, probably we just fought like crazy. We hated each other till we were probably 16, 17. And then that's when we started training with one of our cousins. He just sort of started out too. He'd been doing it maybe 18 months to 2 years. So we started training with him, and we were both more into striking. So we used to go down for sparring sessions, which wasn't a very big thing because it was only a small club. And then we'd rock up for open mats, and he would be absolutely disgusted. But we grew up with a swimming pool, and we honed our skills in the swimming pool. So we used to just fight all the time. So when you're trying to defend arm bars and stuff like that while being held underwater, I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
We had another guest talk about this as well, as doing it as a way to improve your jiu-jitsu. So would you rate that? Would you say it actually can help you become better? He was talking about the breathing and all that sort of stuff as well. But for someone that does jiu-jitsu, would you say that would help?
I definitely think swimming helps because you have to control your breathing. But there was no science between me and Craig fighting in the pool. It was just literally 2 brothers trying to kill each other over who gets the next shot on the Xbox. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, this is Silver Fox. He's a master, right? He's mid-50s or something, I don't know, but he's high level black belt, and he just swears by the fact that because there's no gravity in the pool, or not much, or however that works, you can just really try things and move around in ways that actually translate into on the mats. So
I mean, I don't know. I don't really. I'm not really smart enough to work all that stuff out. So, like I said, we used to just put each other in triangles and try and copy the Rampage Hikato Verona slam back in the day, and that was always pretty cool. And hold them underneath the water for a little bit,
So MMA was your and the UFC particularly, I guess, then was your introduction into the MMA world, and then that into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think Craig used to find streams when he was 13 or 14 on the internet, and we'd watch. I remember watching a weird Japanese one, which ended up being Pride, and then I think the first pay-per-view we got was Randy versus Tim Sylvia, and it was literally me, my brother, and my cousin all sitting at home watching that. I think with one of my mates. So yeah, we were very much into MMA. Craig's nickname amongst my mates was the human encyclopedia, because he could like pull any fight from any card. He'd name one and he'd know who won the main event and how long into the second round. So yeah, we grew up watching a lot of that with never any idea of, neither of us wanted to compete ever. When we first started, we thought everybody that did was psychopaths, and then we sort of got into it bit by bit.
And you mentioned coming to Melbourne, but so you guys grew up in Adelaide, and then what happened? What brought you to Melbourne, and then now you're back in Adelaide?
Craig was just looking for high-level training. There was none of that in Adelaide at the time, and the scene was very different back then before he moved. So this is probably 6-7 years ago. None of the teams got on. It was almost like gang wars without the hard people behind it. You know what I mean? So he left, and then I was kicking around Adelaide, getting up to no good. And I moved over to Melbourne, and I was only there about 11 months, and then I broke my leg and moved back and had a child. So yeah, and I just live the dad life coaching back here.
Can we talk about that injury? Anton, can you share your screen, and we'll have a little for our viewers, anyone that's out there that is watching us instead of listening. I believe we have many viewers, many listeners, I should say. So people see me in the street all the time telling me they're listening to this. But yeah, let's have a look at this. Talk us through this, Adam. What's happened here?
Well, you can Google search my name, and that picture comes up. So it's a bit different to what Craig gets, but So I that was in the final match for the gold medal at Pampax 2017. That weird thing I'm wearing is a gi, I believe. I haven't worn one of those for a few years, but
ever since.
That's probably the most shocking thing out of the whole image is the gi. But there's also a broken leg there as well. 6 weeks prior to this event, I can never pronounce his last name, but Richard Ladamegi, the most aggressive salesman of all time, he popped my ankle in a round. It wasn't even that bad. Like, it made this tiny little clip. And not long before that, I had my foot dislocated. Just in a roll, I got caught in a heel hook and my ankle went. So I had these 2 ankle injuries, and one was kind of bad, didn't really bother me too much. The other one wasn't too bad, but I pulled guard and held his collar, and he jumped, tried to clear my legs, but I'm 6'8", so I've got long legs, and he landed on my shin and sort of slid down my shin, and my ankle dislocated, and my tib and fib snapped off in the mat. So Lockie Giles, I think Craig was the first one over the ropes. Craig actually told me, someone said, "Your brother's hurt himself." And he went, "Oh, what's he fucking done now?" And then he saw my leg and was like, "Oh my God." So sorry if I'm not meant to swear. I'm from Adelaide and a bogan, so I'm sorry. But he jumped over Lockie Giles and lived with the first aider. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would have been shocking to see, but he offered me tape. So I don't know if you can see my ankle there. The last thing.
Back out there. You can make it.
Yeah, just get some tape on it. And luckily, Lockie Giles and Liv, I think Locks sat there on one knee with one leg up, holding my leg together for about 90 minutes before the ambo rocked up. Wow. And when I got the whistle and the morphine, I could have ran off the mats, but they wouldn't let me. So it was an interesting 90 minutes, that's for sure. Every time I tried to look at it, Craig would tell me.
Why, Anton? What do you keep showing? He's trying to enlarge it even more.
It's exactly what I'm trying to do. Except I don't know how to use it.
Thank God you don't.
To be honest, there were more comments about the toes, the size of the toes, than the broken leg. So,
Yeah,
that's impressive. Yeah. I'm trying to see who got to witness. I'm looking in the background here to see whose lives you
I'm looking at the poor opponent. Like, is your opponent permanently scarred from that, or what? Like, is he still training? Jeez.
He was pretty shook by it. but yeah, I can't. He trained. He used to train with a guy. I found out years later in Thailand. I met Stuart Cooper, and we got chatting. And then he told me that was his one of his students. So Stuart Cooper's the really good. Does all the cool videos on YouTube. Yeah,
he's from England. Yes,
we should get him on the show.
Did this guy come from overseas?
Yeah, he Singapore, I believe he was from.
Wow.
So I think Stewie was teaching in Singapore before he was teaching in Thailand. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
Wow. What's the focus for you nowadays? Like, what's next in the world of Adam Jones? Like, do you obviously you're head coaching now, but is there a bigger game you're playing? Is there something you're striving towards?
Man, I've just really been focusing on coaching because I've been had a pretty nasty run with injuries. I did my MCL last year, and then I've had neck and shoulder injuries, and then I got staff bloody twice in a month in the last sort of couple of months. So it's just been one thing after another, to be honest. So competition, I keep saying I want to do it again, but all these fun injuries keep getting in the way. But really, we've been focusing heaps on trying to do tournaments in Adelaide. So there wasn't really much here as far as big tournaments. There was one big show, AGC, but they kept, they weren't going to be able to do anything during COVID. So we went ham pretty much and just started pumping them out. So that's been our main focus for the last 2 years, I think. I think we've done 2 years, yeah. So it started off as just a bit of fun trying to get everybody in Adelaide to compete more. So we told everyone, you throw $50 in, we'll pick 16 guys, winner takes it all. And then that was our first one. And now they've started to become a bit more, I won't say professional because it's me and Miles running it. But yeah, they're starting to get some, good steam behind it.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And you mentioned as well when we were talking about that injury that you've had a daughter. So you're a dad now. Tell us about that. Like, how's that changed your attitude to life? Has it changed your attitude to jiu-jitsu? Anything like that?
Oh, for sure. It makes me want to keep training so I can always be the tough dad. But no, it's awesome. It just I can't remember. I've heard a few people say it to me over the years about once you have a kid, it just the switch goes. And I've definitely been more motivated than I've ever have been before. So that's definitely helped me be able to. We're doing these comps and stuff. We've got a pretty huge 4-man coming up next January. If you told me 5 years ago I was going to be doing something like that, I would have just laughed at you. Whereas like now, it's just like, we know this one's going to be dope. I'm already sort of thinking about the next one after that. Like, what can we do to make that one bigger? And it's all motivation because of I just want to do something cool for the little girl.
Yeah,
we've got some awesome female grapplers in the state too. So I'm giving them a chance to compete on the big show as well. Just is going to open the doors up if my girl wants to do jiu-jitsu or whatever she wants to do.
That's great. Any specific grapplers who you think are like the next Craig Jones type thing, male or female, but who are up and coming out of Adelaide that we should all keep our eyes on?
Man, I always say Declan Moody because he's beats me. The only person that beats me worse than Declan Moody is Craig. So
wow.
I don't get to do anything to that guy. But we got some wicked guys coming up, the girls as well. So like obviously we've got Taylor. Nora's a monster too. She's fighting for the under 60 kilo belt next show, but she'll end up going as far as she wants. I mean the scene in Adelaide is really starting to pop off. So we've got lots of exciting guys from all over.
Yeah.
And Adam, I follow you on Instagram, and you're involved with First Nations Jiu-Jitsu. Can you tell us about that? Like, it's what is that? It's an Indigenous program. Tell us
so a friend of mine called Shane Cook, he's a really good artist, and we've known each other on social media for years, and I had earlier in the year just quit my job and managed to score some work through, I think you guys would know Nick Barker.
Mhm.
He hooked me up with an organisation called Alive, and I got to go down to KI and do some work with the local footy clubs. And it was just like talking to them about mental health and how physical education and, training can make you feel better. And like to draw some parallels between mental health and, jiu-jitsu, fighting out of bad positions and stuff like that. And I told him about that, and he was working with a group called Sonda, and they were looking at putting together some programs. And he went to them and said, "Yo, we got to do this." And then it started off as 1 day a week, every Friday, down at M16, and people from all over Adelaide would come down. And it's about sharing culture. We got a guy called Jack Buckskin. He'll translate. I won't try and pronounce them because I won't do him justice. But like butterfly guard, he'll call it. Use their language to say butterfly and stuff like that. So it's really cool. Those guys sort of said that they didn't know that there were that many Indigenous grapplers in Adelaide, and now we've got a whole mat full. So it's really cool for everybody.
That's a program I can imagine could be all over Australia, that's
for sure.
Interesting program. Is it, or like is it something you've started and it's just in your club, or is it?
This is just something. Shane, I always say Shane's the brains of it. I just teach people how to strangle poorly, but and Jack's with them part of it as well for the culture side. So talking to Shane, it sounds like something that sort of want to keep in house, but at the same time, we're going to go. I think later in the year we're going to go to the APY lands. The boys are going to take us to their country and take us hunting and a bunch of cool stuff. So I'm learning heaps of stuff. Like the shit we learned at school with Australian studies is a pretty big slap in the face, really, compared to what is really the story. So
happened. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and very cool rash guards, I got to say. Probably one of the coolest rash guards I've seen around.
How cool are they?
Awesome. Yeah.
Shane's an incredible artist, and Browse helped us out there. They told us straight away, anything you need, we'll sort it out for you. So Shane got all the so he's Street Dreams as well. So he got all that organised and did all the art for that. And I gave him a couple of logos. So that was
I think Anton's madly trying to Google it now. He's no Jamie from JRE, that's for sure. Come on, Anton. Quick.
You should have said it to me.
We needed Jamie. I should have said it before. So we are very professional, Adam. Very professional outfit. We'll find it in time for when we post this up. We'll post this up in a week or so. So yeah, then we'll have it up. We can put a photo, screenshot of the rash guard. So yeah, talking of rash guard, so you make no secret, Adam, of the fact that you are a no-gi grappler and that you don't really like the gi. What do you say to people who believe that you must train the gi, especially some of those old school attitudes of like, to improve in your jiu-jitsu, you must train in the gi? What's your approach?
I'll have to quote my brother here. He said this in front of 70 people at a seminar in Thailand. He goes, "You can either be shit at both or okay at one." So, that's that'll probably upset a few people, but I don't know. They're two completely different sports. The way I look at it, you know what I mean. Yeah. It's pretty clear now that the guys that are training in just Nogi are dominating the Nogi circuit. So, we used to have a laugh though back when we were white belts, because we've always been fans of Nogi more than the gi, and we actually said the gi is like eating your dinner and Nogi is like dessert. You got to have your dinner before you can have your dessert. So now we're just those kids that got out of home and just eat dessert all the time. So
yeah,
it's true. That's probably pretty true. Yeah,
I do see the point though. I mean, jiu-jitsu coaches tend to say, like, in, I guess, non highly competitive specialized clubs, say you've got to do both. But I also do see the point that you can't specialize in both. You just can't. So, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There is obviously still guys that like Kanan. I always pronounce his name wrong, but he's still done well at both. So I just think it's going to shift more away from that, especially now.
Yeah. I like the way you run comps and everybody chucks in money and winner takes the pot. Do you think that is a way that like jiu-jitsu could become like more for people who like boxing, for example, or like these other sorts of sports? Do you think that this is a format that could work again kind of more nationally, but to help people actually earn a living out of jiu-jitsu? Like, do you think you could become a jiu-jitsu prize fighter and kind of go around to all of these little comps and and do that? Do you think that's something that's scalable or not?
So that the first tournament we did, the M16 Open round 1, that was the one where everyone threw $50 in. On our shows now, all the winners get a slip of 50 in their shorts after they win, and so all our guys get paid on our shows now. So that I'd like to think down the track, all grapplers get paid. The guys are put, especially on these types of shows, obviously at state titles and stuff, it's a little bit different. But if you're doing a super fight, you should be getting paid. You should, if you're traveling interstate, that should be covered as well. I don't understand why a show would ask you to be on there and then expect you to fight their way there. Like, I mean, I don't understand that myself. So that's why we go hard with the sponsors to try and cover all these guys' flights and accommodation. We give them food money, Ubers, and then they win, they get cash as well. Obviously, main card fighters are a little bit different, but
yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah, I know. For me, like when I first started refereeing, it totally changed my attitude to competing and stuff like that. What would you say, having done like organising comps and stuff like that, how has that changed your mindset around competition and things like that? Has that had an effect?
Man, honestly, I don't want to sound mean, but there's like some of these grapplers that want to be pro grapplers, or they paint the picture, and then they'll turn a match down, or like there's nothing else going on. You know what I mean? There's no other comps. To me, that I don't understand that at all. Like, I would just think you would just be like, "Yep, I'll take that match." There's no other shows. Do you reckon that's
ego? Do you think they just don't want to lose?
Ego, and it doesn't look good for social media. Maybe if they lose, I get really upset when I lose, because I live I try and live and breathe it. I'm not always the most disciplined, but I'll be the first to admit that. But I've had, I was devastated when I flew all the way to the UK to get smashed. And Craig after was just like, "Who cares, bro? It's just jiu-jitsu." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, this is your whole thing and you don't even care. And, at the end of the day, it is just jiu-jitsu. It's not like we're, jiu-jitsu definitely changes lives, but it's not like you competing is going to change anything really, especially at a lower level. So I can understand if it was a gold medal match at ADCC, but, as they say, no one cares till black belt, and then most people don't really care anyway. So
yeah,
man.
That's what I tell myself. That's what I tell myself, because I always lose. So
it's samurai.
Maybe if I won a few, then it would be different.
Yeah, I've just finished reading Hickson Gracie's book, which blew me away. But he's just like one of the most legendary fighters I've ever read about. You know what I mean? It just like, what a human being. If you haven't read it, anyone in this show who's watching the show, you should read it. But anyway, the point was that his view of fighting was nothing to do with the winning and losing. Ultimately, it was about going out there and representing the martial art and his honor and everything else. But literally, the losing and the winning didn't weigh into the equation of whether or not, like, it was more about his level of effort and application versus anything else. And there was always going to be a winner and a loser in his mind. He won almost every time, or maybe every time. But
his best quote's got to be, "If we're fighting for money, I'll stop when you tap. But if we're fighting for honor, I'll stop when I feel like it."
Yeah,
that's cold-blooded. Cold-blooded.
Yeah. Absolutely. What a legend.
Yeah.
You've read the book, obviously.
Yeah. No. I just, we all know an odd Hickson quote, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. And what about coaching, Adam? Like, you've talked about how you've started coaching as well. How has that changed your attitude to jiu-jitsu and things like that, like around?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I feel like it's helped my jiu-jitsu a lot, for sure, like breaking down the moves and stuff like that. I'm super lucky because I've got Lockie Warren and Declan Moody to run things by first hand, and then I've got, you know, Craig's a call away, and I can ask him any of the questions, or, you know, what's some stuff you're doing that I need to bring over here. So I'm sure class structure doesn't change that much from gym to gym, but there's definitely things that he's told me those guys do that I've sort of structured my class around. So warm-ups are gone. We do technique, and then we do specific rounds, and then it's always rolling at the end of class. We force the guys to wrestle in competition class too, so they start standing, no pulling guard. Even if that's what they're going to do, we still need to be able to scramble. Our comp class is a lot of specific rounds, then some scrimmage wrestling, and some normal rounds to finish off. So it's just all stuff, you know. I've asked him what they do. I always ask him about his training, you know, anything online that I can watch. That's what I try and do, trying to copy all that.
Yeah, I think specific training has really changed the game in the last sort of 5 or 10 years. I mean, yeah, I've only been doing jiu-jitsu for a bit over 10 years anyway, 10, 12 years. But yeah, from what I understand, just can you maybe explain a little bit more for anyone out there that isn't that aware of exactly what happens with specific training and how it works and how it would affect your game?
So yeah, like, I mean, we all blame Kip for killing drilling, right? When you're just sort of going through the move, I think there's a time and a place for that while you're learning the technique. But then, you know, if that's all you do and then you try and throw it in during a roll, it can be quite hard, especially if you never get to that spot. So if we're working Z-guard or something like that, and we're doing some moves from Z-guard or even K-guard, we'll start those rounds straight after we've done the technique. So, you know, I always say to the guys, the first one, don't try and kill each other straight away. Let them sort of work it a little bit with a bit of resistance. But by the end of it, everyone's almost, you're just starting in that position, and it's like rolling from there. The second you've passed, or you've got a sweep or a sub, or you've stood back up, then you reset and you go back to that spot.
So it really helps, like, cement it in your brain.
Yeah,
what you've got to do from learning the technique to putting it into practice.
Yeah, and it's like you know, with the resistance and live hard training and stuff like that, and then you just force into those positions. So we'll do close guard, mount, turtle, every comp class. They're the three that we do 5 minutes. And, you know, once you're out, you got to the next point or a sub, or you've stood back up, then you reset and the next person's down. And you're just fighting out of bad positions or fighting in the position that you just learned. So I feel like you sort of get thrown in the deep end a little bit, but normally, you know, when someone's trying to choke you, you want to defend it harder, you know what I mean, rather than just drilling.
What would you say for, you know, you as a coach, like, what's your speciality as far as, like, what do you have a knack for in spotting in people that they can improve? You know what I mean? Like, some people are focused on base, some people are focused on, you know, transitions, whatever it is. But what's your secret sauce with your coaching that, you know, like, what do you look for others to improve the most?
Well, like I said, I'm lucky. I've got Declan and Lockie to fix everything that I teach that's bad. No, I'm joking. So yeah, I don't know. Like, you can normally tell when people are they're going to be like someone that naturally wants to compete because they've got the fight in them. And then I'll watch a lot of the specific training, unless I'm jumping in for it with uneven numbers. But I'll watch it, and, you know, I can see if someone's sort of struggling in a spot, and then you sort of guide them and be like, don't stop doing what you're doing, but, you know, you need to work your bottom half guard and stuff like that. So I think, and in that gym we have, you know, the guys, they can do one class on a Monday with Declan, one with me on a Tuesday, one with Warren on a Thursday. So they're getting exposed to such different games. And we'll definitely have a similar similar like focus for the week, but we all teach different stuff. We're all from different. Me and Warren are kind of from the same group, but he obviously spent a lot longer at Absolute than I did.
Yep.
And Moody's game is very different again, but it all works so well. So yeah, like it's kind of hard. We've got like a team of coaches, so it's
right.
I always say to the guys, I'm like, you're so lucky you've got, I mean, we weren't even allowed to look at another coach, let alone go and cross train when I started. And then these guys, they've got 3 of them in the same gym, and they all do each other's classes. So it's like, I'm learning a move from Warren, and I'm looking across, and Moody's eyeing me off to kill me in the round straight after the technique. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's cool.
That's great.
It's good. I sometimes think that can be a little bit confusing for some brand new people, though, learning from different people, because sometimes people have a different take on stuff. So is there anything, do you find that at all, that maybe some of your students get a little bit mixed up with different teaching styles or just different
I think the beginners normally, they tend to stick with the fundamentals classes. So they, a lot of them do just a lot of them will do Lockie Warren's class every week. So on a Thursday, they'll be there to do Warren's class. So I think that consistency of turning up every week on the Thursday, and then, they might get a session in with Moody on a Monday. It seems to work. I mean, none of us go, oh, he showed that. Don't do that. Mine's heaps better. You know what I mean? Because Moody smashes both of us. So it's like, we got to do what Moody says. But it's really good. And then, I've shown stuff before, and Moody's asked questions to me in front of the group. And I'm like, what the hell? You can beat the shit out of me, man. Why are you asking me questions? But I think everybody sees that. And there's no the big dog is the one that beats everybody. So that's Moody, So the guys see how much he works though as well. So I think if it wasn't for all of that, there could be some confusion for sure.
That's a good point though. That the big dog gets to stay the big dog if they keep learning. Otherwise eventually they don't be the big dog anymore. So Moody,
what we're doing dasters today, and Moody was looking at me just hitting the dast that I just showed everybody in class on just everybody, and then dasters me. He dasted me, and I'm like, you fucking bastard. But he'll do the same. Me and Warren will have a laugh, was it I think it was the Mikey lock, or I don't want to offend anybody, whatever it's called. That leg lock Mikey Mashimi got at that tournament that everyone's so upset about with the name. He pulled that off just by watching Warren try it on me. And I was like, it's good. It just absorbs it. So yeah.
How? What do you think his secret sauce is? Where does he get that from?
I'd like to. I know what it is. It's he grew up as a professional scooter rider. So the Razor scooters.
Oh, yeah.
Declan Moody's his base was pro scootering. So if you ever get him on the podcast, you can pull up some YouTube clips of him riding scooters, doing front flips and back flips.
Wow.
So if you're
there you go, Anton, put that in your notes. Jamie.
If you're used to being a scooter rider, I can only imagine the amount of bullying you got all over the years. So you'd have to be a good fighter.
It's a winning combination of having a great base of acrobatics and being able to kick people's ass when he gets bullied. Yeah.
Awesome.
I like it.
Yeah, we are nearly out of time, Adam. But do you have any closing thoughts or anything you wanted to share with our listeners?
And
Craig Jones, I think that's important. I think
Craig Jones for sure.
Yeah.
We man, I just tell everybody to train with as many people as they can. Don't believe that one man knows it all. It's just going to hold you back. So, wrestle, bloody. I won't say do judo because that involves a gi. But if you're a man of the cloth, would do judo to help you gi grappling. If you're doing no gi, you should be wrestling. So. Find the best people you can train with and train with them, even if it means driving an hour. People do it. If they want it, they'll do it.
Wow.
Very true.
Awesome.
Very true. Well, thank you so much for joining us. we'll have this out. We're actually, as I said, quite professional. We're, as well as putting it out on Facebook, we're on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Where else? So we've got an Instagram page. Yeah, we're all over it. So if you could share it, we would love that.
There's a chance that
for sure.
is like just underneath your broken foot will be this podcast in some point.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
right. Yeah, next time they search you up, yeah, they'll be finding us here as well. So that'll be awesome. And
we are talking about doing a little trip over to Melbourne with some of the First Nations guys. So we'll definitely be visiting.
That'd be
Absolute.
awesome.
So
yeah, for sure. Love that.
We'll make sure we have some rashies though, because otherwise you guys might try and take our rashies.
Right. I know to go for the ankle, right? Is it the left or the right? I've got to go.
It's 4 years now. Surely it's healed up, eh? Yeah,
it's not too bad now. It's not too bad.
Yeah, like I said, we should have this out, I think, next week. So if you, as I said, could share it, would really help our listeners. And if you could put in a good word for us with Craig, geez, we'd love it. But like I said, we've given up. I think we tried 3 or 4 times and just heard nothing.
I like
He's the devil.
Jones. You're my new favorite, Jones family.
Awesome. All right. Well, looking forward to these borders opening soon, and we can hopefully see you on the mats really soon.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right, everybody.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.